Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Chairman Rayall, and the committee members here for holding this important meeting and allowing us the opportunity to submit testimony, both written and orally. My name is Vincent Armenta, and I'm the tribal chairman of the San Ynez Band of Chumash Indians, and I'm here to testify against the so-called commutable distance rule established by Secretary Kempthorne by his guidance memo dated January 3rd, 2008. What exactly is a reservation life that Secretary Kempthorne is trying to protect? Is he trying to protect that part of reservation life that's always striving to restore the lost Aboriginal homelands and territory of the tribe? Is he trying to protect those areas of land both on and off the current tribe's reservation, which a tribe exercises governmental control? Or is the Secretary of the Interior taking the most restrictive possible definition of reservation life and limiting it solely to the extremely diminished boundaries of an existing reservation? Under the guise of supposedly trying to protect reservation life, the Secretary has established a new rule without any tribal input or consultation that is designed to keep Indians on their existing reservations. When the Spanish explorer de Portela arrived in what's become the state of California, there was a thriving community of coastal Native American Indians. This group surrounded Santa Barbara and called themselves the Chumash, and was considered by the Spanish to be one of the most advanced California Indian tribes, as they lived in interconnected villages stretching from Malibu in the south to Paso Robles in the north, and encompassing almost 7,000 square miles. The Spanish at that time had built a series of Catholic missions in such Chumash areas, and within just 74 years, population of the Chumash Indians decreased from 25,000 to merely 1,200. By the time California was made a state in 1848, the Chumash had been reduced to living in a riverbed of the Santa Dakota Creek, which is just east of the San Ynez Mission. That is what we refer to today as the San Ynez Indian Reservation, home of the San Ynez Band of Chumash Indians. Since the Santa Dakota Creek riverbed was limited in size and opportunity, I myself soon began to travel off the reservation for work. To the north, I could pick grapes as a farmer. I could visit to the west Vandenberg Air Force Base, to the northeast the Cuyama Valley where they grow alfalfa, or to the west in Ventura, two other military bases, Point Hueneme and Point Mugu. So within a 70-mile radius of our reservation, I could either become a farm laborer or join the military. Ultimately, I took a construction management job in Los Angeles, almost 200 miles away from our reservation. I commuted there because there were no jobs on the reservation. Regrettably, Secretary Kempthorne would not support my choice to travel from the Santa Dakota riverbed to the big city of Los Angeles because it's beyond a reasonable commute of 70 miles. Ironically, Secretary Kempthorne himself continues to commute from Idaho to Washington, D.C. for his job, but apparently that's not an unreasonable commute for him. The historical lands of the Chumash extended to the south and eastward, almost to the eastern suburbs of Los Angeles and Malibu. The so-called prehistory of this area is covered with Chumash artifacts and burials. The Chumash people still consider this Aboriginal territory to be their home, even though they have been forced to relocate in the Santa Dakota riverbed. Perhaps Secretary Kempthorne should recast his 70-mile reasonable commute in relationship to the Aboriginal territories of each tribe. Historically, tribes in their Aboriginal territory state have crossed back and forth throughout their Aboriginal territories in search of food and resources. Modern-day tribal members and descendants still travel great distances for gainful employment. Today, in my position as tribal chairman, I've commuted to Washington, D.C., just like Secretary Kempthorne. Limiting fee to trust acquisitions to only 70 miles from each current reservation perpetuates a cycle of poverty and despair on each reservation. Today's reservations are a mere shadow of their historic Aboriginal territories. The Indian Reorganization Act was enacted to prevent the destruction of current reservations and to permit the Secretary to assist tribes in restoring as much of such lost Aboriginal territories. While we appreciate Secretary Kempthorne's concern with negative effects of off-reservation fee-to-trust gaming acquisitions on existing reservation life, we invite him to see what the Chumash have done with our riverbed. We hope Secretary We hope that the Secretary would work with us to reestablish our former Aboriginal territories of our tribe, but instead the Secretary is more concerned about how far our members can drive to work. We ask the House Resources Committee to work with the tribes and at least permit us to go through the indignity of having to buy back our own Aboriginal territories. Instead, we are being labeled as desiring to reservation shop. The Chumash desire to regain the lands of their ancestors one piece at a time. This Aboriginal territory analysis is completely absent from the so-called commutable distance test, which is a mere pretext to keep the tribes on their existing reservations. Thank you very much.